I was trying to unmute. Can you guys still hear me?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay, great. Thanks.
All right, we are live. We are all here at present, so I will call this meeting to order at 6:01. Welcome, everyone. President Sarah Masinski. I do want to take this moment to mention that Andrea West, who's been serving as our vice president, has resigned from the board. And I would like to officially throw out there on the record that I appreciate her service, the expertise that she has shared with me over the past 4 years. And thank you, Trustee West.
Absolutely, I second that. Trustee Goss.
Yes. Right. Yeah. Please.
Okay, continuing roll call, Vice President for Finance, Trustee Allen.
Trustee Veneta.
Trustee Marlowe.
Trustee Jackson.
Trustee Paige Barnum.
Executive Director Andrea Nicolai.
Mackenzie Clark, Counsel for the Library.
Melanie Metzger, Assistant Director.
Sean Smith, Board Treasurer.
Adam Stump, Director of Finance.
Thank you. Is there public comment? Okay. There's no public comment. First item are the minutes from the last meeting. Are there any questions or discussion related to the minutes from the last meeting? I'm going to defer to Erica, who has everything recorded. I had remembered the public comment at the end of the meeting that he had already had his event without food, but I could very much be wrong on remembering that. Look, I believe the minutes had said that he was looking to.
The event had not yet happened.
Oh.
He had asked and been declined because there was no kitchenette.
Gotcha. Okay. Never mind. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
Trustee Marlowe, I move to accept the minutes.
Trustee Pryor, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Trustee Gloss?
Hi,
I'm
sorry, trying to unmute.
I'm sorry. Okay.
And we're doing them all together, don't we? The
Yeah,
consent
we
agenda?
did. No, we broke it out a couple meetings ago.
Okay.
So this is just the minutes. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Trustee Gauze, how did you vote on this one? I'm sorry.
Yes, I voted yes.
Okay, thank you. Sorry. So passes unanimously. Thank you. All right, moving on to check registers. The first item of discussion is the operating check register. Are there any questions regarding the operating check register? Right.
I had a comment that I'm looking forward to Aaron Mayor's discussion at Arbor Hill on Saturday. the genealogy.
All right.
No questions.
It doesn't seem like there's any.
Okay, great. So then I move trustee Allen to accept the operating check register.
Second, Barnum. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
Aye.
Yeah, 1, 2, 5, 6, 7 ayes, 1 abstention. The check register passes. Okay, moving forward to the treasurer's report.
The three items included in the agenda present the library's 2026 fiscal year activity through the 9 months ending March 31st, 2026. The treasurer's report includes the 2 schedules. The first schedule presents the net change in fund balance compared to the budget amounts approved by the board. And then the second schedule presents a further breakdown of expenditures by category. Total support and revenues were slightly over modified budget, while total expenditures were comparable with the modified budget. The capital fund report presents the financial activity for the capital projects approved by the board. And then the cash and investment summary presents the activity in the library's accounts during the reporting month.
Are there any questions related to the treasurer's report? Okay. Moving along, reporting out and upcoming events. I'll start with my personal reporting out. I went last week to Arbor Hill, West Hill for art night, which I'm a fan of. And I made a mosaic coaster, which I did not bring to show you all because I'm not particularly proud of my art skills on that one. But it was still a fun night. And I want to let folks know that I successfully used my very first adventure pass. I was able to check out a pass to the Egg and went to see Iron and Wine this Sunday. It was pretty fun, and I was very excited about my newfound library.
I'm going to mix up my reporting out with more of an anecdote about the library. So I recently did some travel and I saw someone boarding a plane here in Albany International. You know, most of us are like bleary eyed in the morning, but this person was well awake and wearing an Albany Public Library shirt, and their backpack had several Albany Public Library bleaker buttons. So I don't know who this patron or staff member is, but I appreciate them proudly brandishing their Albany Public Library paraphernalia, presumably nationwide.
I went to North Albany. I am so grateful for the donations for the seeds, to seed the library. Then you can get 5 packs a day. So for all the little ones and for all those ones that are enthusiastic and also just waiting for the weather to break so that we can go out and start planting. Yeah, that was good today. A lot of sunflowers and peppers and a lot of different herbs. So I'm grateful for that. And then I introduced a student of my trained community health worker. So we took a walk down the corridor of South Pearl and ended up at John Howe Library. And as I was given the history of South Pearl Street. So she was very impressed and really enjoyed the library.
Thank you.
Trustee Veneta, I am looking forward to, I think it's June 1st, the first drag queen story hour with my little one. So if you want to meet the new addition to the Albany Public Library community, come join us.
Be careful with those offers.
Board members.
All right. Anyone else before moving on? All right, so committee liaison reports, executive committee, we did not meet in this path between these two meetings. We do not currently have a meeting scheduled, and this is going to tie in to personnel committee. I will be touching base with Mackenzie Council after the meeting to ask about what the next steps are for personnel. As Director Nicolai does have an evaluation due, and the chair of personnel has resigned, and one of the other members is only here with us for a short time.
Past meeting.
So, I don't know. I don't know if executive committee will get pulled into that. But that is, I suppose, a potential option that I wanted to throw out there. And for ad hoc strategic planning, they are working on scheduling a presentation of the strategic plan to the strategic planning subcommittee. I know this is confusing. So the ad hoc strategic plan, who is Trustee Veneta, Barnum, and myself, are part of the larger strategic planning subcommittee, and they will be presenting. They're currently working on scheduling a time to present to that full group. And I believe Andrea will be sharing more information later, Director Nicolai, as we move forward.
Audit and Finance met on April 16th to discuss some minor changes to the treasurer's report. And we do not have any upcoming meetings scheduled.
Thank you. Facilities Committee?
Facilities Committee did not meet in that time frame.
Thank you. Nominating Committee? Trustee Gauze, would you like to say anything?
Nominating committee did not meet again. Trustee Veneta is there, so if she'd like to report anything out to you guys, she's more than welcome.
Okay.
We had the Meet the Candidates Forum, but unfortunately I was unable to attend. So a big shout out to Trustee Marlowe and Trustee Allen for covering that for me. It was a great event and I highly recommend people watch it.
Thank you. I did just touch base on Personnel Committee. Oh, neither of you have anything. Okay. And Policy and Governance.
Yeah, Policy and Governance met on April 22nd. Our principal goal at that meeting was to address recent changes by the New York State Board of Regents, where there was an amendment to the regulations of the Commissioner of Education that impacts public and association library minimum standards. So, all the policies and procedures we have as a library, we are looking to review those items in order to ensure we comply with this amendment. So during the course of our meeting, we worked with staff to identify the most sort of pressing immediate policies to tackle, to look at updates to ensure they comply with the library regulation changes. So we sent I believe it was 5 policies to our council, as we did not anticipate any substantive changes to those from us. So just to have council review those policies to make sure they're, keep using the word compliance, but we pride ourselves on our legal compliance. So we are going to get those policies back from legal, I believe, here in a week. or so to see if there's any updates there. We also identified 3 policies that may be in need of update that are, principally the focus of audit and finance. So our committee sent those 3 policies over to audit and finance for a review. And I'll get those back to policy and governance. We can make a recommendation to the larger board if any changes are needed based on the expertise of policy and governance. We are also anticipating our next meeting to review the feedback from legal. Looking through our policies and ready to address any potential changes to bring to the board. Just so we can try to update our policies and procedures, make sure they're reviewed within the last couple of years for summer this year. So all that said, we have our next policy and governance meeting at 5 p.m. on Tuesday, May 26th. Here at Washington Avenue Bridge.
Thank you. All right. The next item is the Upper Hudson Library System Liaison Report. So that's me. And since I have the microphone, I will mention going back to the calling out. I did want to mention that I did attend the Trustee Handbook Book Club, where they discussed hiring and evaluating the executive director. Erica Catalano was nice enough to save all of that information for us in the board portal, and everyone has access and can go through it if you want. And so Upper Hudson, I mentioned last time, but the annual celebration is coming up on June 10th. It's going to be at 5:30 at Love Albany. That's 8 Kate Street. And if you're interested in attending, please reach out to Melanie. It was a nice time last year, and to sort of connect with more folks in the greater local library community. And Mary Fellows, who has come and interacted with us in the past, she did retire this past month. I went to her retirement celebration, and Upper Hudson has hired a new youth and family services manager. Her name is Melissa Take, I'm not exactly sure. And she's scheduled to begin on June 8th. And lastly, the FFAPL report. FFAPL did meet, and they had voted to help support the summer reading challenge with supporting the Dino Hunter Safari, as well as providing funding for the gift cards that are being used or were being used as incentive for the strategic plan survey. They met yesterday with the consultant for work on Donor Perfect. They're making progress on the bylaws, and hopefully those will be available soon. And they have scheduled the book talks for July and August. Book talks are ongoing all the time. Well, not all the time, but on Tuesdays. And in the future, if anyone out there in YouTube land or here on the board is interested in giving a book talk about a book, and that's pretty much the criteria as I understand it, please reach out to FFAPL. Okay, moving on to the director's report.
Okay, thanks, President Lisinski. So definitely one highlight that I want to talk and spend some time on was how we used our staff development day this year. So once a year, we close all of our branches. The board allows us to get together here at Washington Avenue in this room to do some professional development, and we don't stay in this room the whole time. We also have breakout sessions around the building. There's a committee that puts this day together, and I do want to take a second to credit Melanie Metzger, our fantastic assistant director, who is also the chair of that committee, because Melanie did a great job of leading this year's Staff Development Day committee, and it was very well reviewed by staff. It was one of the highest rated staff development days in recent history. Usually we always send out a survey after Staff Development Day, and this time 60% of the staff filled it out. And usually the ratings for breakout sessions and keynotes average between 3.2 and 3.8 out of 5. But this year, the lowest average rating was 4.38, which is saying something. The keynote in the morning was applied improvisation for the workplace, which if you're looking for an activity with a group, we would recommend COPIT. They did a great job of bringing a lot of positive energy to staff first thing. They focused on broad communication strategies. There was some yes-anding going on in the room. It was definitely an improv slant on communication and collaboration, building collaboration and connection between staff. And it worked kind of like an icebreaker. It also worked to help us figure out strategies to promote positive communication in the workplace. So it was great. And we had a little bit of a longer lunch break so that we could offer some enrichment options. A lot of staff went to the Makerspace Expo. Even more staff took the nature walk to see some tulip buds in Washington Park. And when we came back for the afternoon sessions, we had 4 breakout sessions in the afternoon, ranging from strategic planning and status of the budget, which was a session that I led twice in a row. There was a Microsoft Q&A with the IT department, personal financial literacy with Broadview, a chair yoga and stress relief session led by our incredible HR generalist, who also happens to be a trained yoga instructor. Lucky for us. And we invited Bring on the Spectrum for some sensory programming advice and guidance using sensory toys, which all branches have and available for the public. And we also had a safety department overview with Mike, our head of public safety, who also invited the CART team representatives from the police department in. And staff had a lot of positive things to say about that. They said CART should come back every year. We should have a safety session with them each year. So I included some quotes here, and it was just a good balanced day. That we heard positive things about it. Got lunch for Arduinos, which was also a big hit. In terms of my outreach activities, obviously a lot of April was dedicated to the budget presentation. So I took my budget table talks around to all of the branches, and I also was invited to a number of neighborhood associations to do the annual report presentation, as well as cover the budget information in anticipation of our May 19th budget vote and trustee election. Trustee Masinski covered the Friends and Foundation of APL News, but I would just add that she really covered it all. So Tuesday book talks have been scheduled out for May and June, and a postcard mailing will go out soon. And I'll hand it over to Adam Stump now for the Director of Finance update.
Sure. So I just have a quick item regarding some of our recent national grid utility cost trends. So the costs in March of this year were about 12,000, down from 14,000 in last March of 2025. But despite that small savings, the quarterly total for January through March of this year was about $79.5 thousand compared to $61,000 in January through March of last year. The reason for that is primarily due to the January bill, which was the highest monthly total we've seen in as long as I've been here. So that's it. Thank you.
Thanks. On the safety front, we saw a drop in incidents in April, which was, I mean, we always like to see that headed in the right direction. We also had a number of health-related and 911 calls, which accounted for a portion of that, those 36 incidents that occurred across the district. In terms of community engagement, our head of community engagement attended an immigrant and refugee roundtable meeting and also represented the library at a school district community roundtable on the 17th and continues to partner closely with programs and partnerships to get the library out at the tables and forums where we need to be. In terms of programs and partnerships, we got out to some senior housing locations last month, including, including Westview, South Mall Towers, excuse me, and the South End Children's Cafe Senior Lunch. We also visited the VA hospital in April. Looking ahead at some May events coming up, I know Trustee Pryor mentioned the African American Genealogy Program. Really looking forward to that happening at Washington Avenue this coming weekend at 2 o'clock here at Washington Ave. And now I'll just go through some highlights from programming across the branches, events across the branches. So at ARPA West Hill, we tried something new. We tried a Stardew Valley celebration. Don't ask me too much about Stardew Valley. I know it's very popular, but I can't tell you much about it, but the kids love it. We welcome 30 participants, kids of all ages for that program. At Bach, since it was Jazz Month, so we hosted a Ralph Zulo duo, which was really appreciated by all who attended. At Delaware, we had good attendance during school break week with the standout program being Slime Day with 42 people. Slime is popular. Anywhere we create slime, the children want to be there. At How, we hosted a live pig story time, believe it or not. So Christina, our library assistant, chose some amazing pig-related books to read to kids, and we also had Albert Einswine and Marilyn Swinerow from a local farm, I suppose. Yeah, so anytime we have live animals on display for people to interact with or see at any branch, it is always a big hit, and this was no exception. Really like to come into contact with nature in the library. And that actually is a good segue to North Albany Highlight as well, which is, of course, the seed library, which continues to grow. And we got a huge donation of seeds from the Love Your Block program. So thank you, Love Your Block. And we also provided a spring into gardening event with tips and tricks for seedling starting. And at Pine Hills, finally, did get some staff requesting Narcan training. So we worked with the collaboratories to schedule a drop-in training session. And now more than half of our Pine Hills staff are trained to administer Narcan if and when it is needed. Oh, sorry, Washington Avenue. I just want to share one of the highlights from a staff interaction. Evan, who's one of our adult services library assistants, helped a patron during one of his resume workshops, and she came in recently to tell him that she's been hired as a teacher at her first choice employer and said that she couldn't have done it without him, which is pretty cool. So kudos to that. And we also had a great interaction with Danielle and a senior patron who wanted to figure out some travel to Greece, and we were also very grateful for that guidance. So we continue to, field the reference questions in addition to all of the other kinds of questions that we get at the library. Under human resources, we have been filling positions, advertising, and pushing toward filling all positions with good success. And I'm happy to say that we welcomed a new public safety specialist at the Howe branch, and yeah, we're doing well to fill those positions as quickly as possible. General facility repairs are always in process, and under IT, we did complete our Wi-Fi replacement project. So now when you're here at Washington Avenue, you'll just go to the Wi-Fi network that's called All People Library. You have to just agree to the terms and conditions, which all patrons have to do. But it's a network that is a protected network. And actually, I'll have an email out to you after the board meeting about how to connect to APL devices, which is the network you would use if you use one of our Chromebooks here at a board meeting. So we'll get information about that soon. But I just want to credit the IT department for their good work in replacing the system, which was part of this year's IT plan. So if anyone has questions, happy to answer.
Not so much a question, but I saw on Facebook that the Live Staff Development Day was actually on the moon and not in Washington Avenue.
That was some Photoshop trickery. I just want to make sure everyone understands we did not go to the moon. We do not have that kind of budget, as everyone knows. So, but we did have some fun with Photoshop, and Luke managed to make it look like we were on.
Any other questions? All right, moving on to monthly statistics.
Okay. So our room use happily continues to kind of ascend, and that's across most of our branches. And in terms of North Albany, they saw their highest April number in over 6 years, which is pretty great. Computer use was up across all of our locations, which led to an overall year-to-date increase over last year. And circulation transactions were also up year-to-date over last year, led by increases at Washington, Pine Hills, Howe, and North Albany. And our numbers are generally headed in the right direction. If you look at, and I'll share this with you between now and the next meeting, but there is an Upper Hudson view of circulation trends over the last few years. And you can see that all Upper Hudson libraries are generally following the same year-over-year trend. So that's a great way to kind of compare how APL is doing with the rest of the network. And I'll be sharing that with you after. I should have included it, but I'll share it with you over email after the meeting, and I'll include it in next month's statistics report, okay?
Thank you. Are there any questions regarding the monthly statistics? Hearing none, moving on. There is no unfinished business from last month for new business. I will hand it back over for talk about the strategic plan progress report.
All right. So it was definitely a big month. We worked with our consultants at Library Strategies to accomplish several of the goals related to information gathering for the next strategic plan. So I left the sort of status updates in bold. So the stuff that was already done since the last report that I gave is not bolded, but the new stuff is in bold. So the steering committee, excuse me, the steering committee meeting is being scheduled now for late May. And I'll get into the plan for sharing the draft with the steering committee and with you all in a few minutes. But I want to go through the rest of these updates first. So Library Strategies has been hosting biweekly meetings of the core team, which consists of the strategy, the strategic plan consultants and members of the leadership team from the library. So myself, Melanie Metzger, Tiana DiCarlo. So we've been meeting to just kind of make sure we're staying on track, make sure that all the logistics that need to be in place for the consultants to do their work are in place, and everything is kind of moving along as it should. There were 2 virtual SOAR sessions, visioning exercises that were held. One was with the board, as you know, and the other one, I'm sorry, there were 3 actually total. The other 2 were held with APL staff, all APL staff possibly be there for one of the virtual source sessions, which took place on April 17th. So we worked with all the managers to make sure that as many staff, including part-timers, could attend that source session, which was very fruitful. And managers weren't there. This was just for union staff and for anyone who was not management confidential for the most part. So the leadership team, on the other hand, so the management confidential managers, as well as their higher level department heads, like the HR generalist and were part of the source session that took place on the 29th, and that was also held virtually. So in addition to those source sessions with staff, the consultants completed some interviews with community members, and I can go to that list in a minute. And in terms of survey response, the community survey drew 1,314 responses, which was an impressive number as reported by our consultants, who said that the goal with the survey responses was about 500 per size. So we definitely well surpassed that goal. Only 2 paper forms were submitted, which was kind of surprising to me, because I know a lot of people still prefer paper over an online survey, but we're really happy with this result. I think it'll give us a lot, and we got a lot of non-user responses. So responses from people who indicated on the survey that they are not regular library users also filled it out. So hopefully we'll glean some information from our non-users about what they would like to see from library services. And the prize incentive probably didn't hurt either. So we had, but we only had 423 people out of that 1,114 actually enter to win one of the 3 downtown Albany gift cards that we offer, sponsored by Friends and Foundation. So we had 3 lucky winners, and all 3 gift cards have, I think, been distributed at this point. Yes, Melanie says yes. So in addition, the consultants and at one point Albany with 5 participants, at Pine Hills with 12, 1 at Delaware with 6, online 16. So that's those were decent numbers overall. Probably could have used a couple more in the Albany one, but it's okay. We had, in some cases, we had people sign up and then not show up, but it never dropped below the point where library strategies thought it wasn't worth having the conversation, of course. And then in terms of from now to June, you're going to be seeing a very summary in addition to plan. So steering committee will be receiving these 3 reports, and you will be receiving these as well. They are the executive summary of the survey results, the food estimation, and the benchmarking report. So all 3 of those documents give you the high-level executive summaries, the information that you need in order to look at the plan and evaluate the draft. So the goal for the June meeting is be prepared to basically dialogue with the consultants and finalize. It's unlike as far as you're not going to have one meeting to review it and another meeting to approve it later. It's all intended by design for library strategies to happen at June meetings. That's why the pre-work is going to be important for that meeting. And the consultants, of course, are questions about any of the data between now and that June meeting.
Can I just interrupt real quick to say, if you didn't just hear it, the June meeting is going to be important. Please come.
Well, thanks. They're all important, but yes, it's important. So this is a culmination of months and months of work, and we're really excited to see what it's very much a community-driven plan. So it's not for me to say, you know, what the goals are. It's not for, you know, really, it's not for anyone but the community. And that's why we paid these consultants to synthesize the community feedback and come up with the goals that are going to set us in a direction for the next 3 years. So, yeah, I'm just really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be exciting to see what comes of this plan, and it's going to be even more exciting to figure out how to implement it and come up with the strategies and tactics that are going to get us closer to each of these goals that we determined. So just want to thank the board members who've been part of the ad hoc strategic planning committee and the steering committee, as well as thank you in advance for taking your time with the materials that are shared about a week, if not a little bit more than a week before that June meeting. So thank you very much.
Just have a question. Will we be able to see the survey results, the data from that, like as a not as an executive summary, like as just a standalone?
That will be available to like in the board portal.
Okay.
It will be available to you in the board portal.
Okay. And then you're thinking about, we'll get this essentially at the same time that we get the agenda, we'll get these executive summaries. Is that
Yes.
the thought?
Yes. Because they're going to be, they're going to be shared in sort of preliminary draft. And I'm talking about the summaries are going to be shared in advance with the steering committee and then with the board almost immediately thereafter. So it's all going to happen pretty quickly, but you'll see it. You'll have plenty of time.
Thank you. Any other questions regarding the strategic plan? Okay, moving forward, I'm not even going to try to say that acronym, the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines Update.
Yeah, so we're calling it the consensus is to call it WCAG, which is, I know, just a terrible acronym to pronounce, but basically this is just an update relating to a change in the regulation. So the Department of Justice issued an update basically saying you have another year. So originally the deadline to have a compliance plan is April 24th of this year, and now it's April 26th of next year. So it does give us some time to actually implement the compliance, which is nice. We would have had a plan in 2026, but in terms of implementation, we could probably get there by April 26th, 2027. So that's even better than a plan. So we're going to be working on it all year long, and I'll keep you posted as we move along.
Thank you. Any questions related to the accessibility update? Okay. Is there any public comment? Okay. Hearing no public comment, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn. Trustee Pryor.
Trustee Marlowe, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you. We are adjourned at 6:44. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good night.